When we think about crime, we often imagine gangsters, fraud rings, or dangerous cartels. But in the modern age, crime sometimes hides in plain sight, behind logos, hashtags, and discount codes. This is the story of Shein, the fast fashion giant accused of labor exploitation, environmental destruction, and global fraud, and the influencers who became caught in the web. Reports from multiple investigations have exposed disturbing conditions inside Shein's supply chain. In undercover footage, workers are shown stitching clothes for 16 to 18 hours a day, often with no more than 1 day off per month. Breaks are scarce, and workers are sometimes forced to sleep in the same buildings where they work. Pay is another issue. Instead of receiving fair wages, workers are frequently paid per piece. Some reports found workers earning as little as 4 cents per garment, forcing them to sew hundreds of items each day just to scrape together a survival wage. Labor rights advocates have gone further, suggesting that Shein's model amounts to a system of modern slavery. Human rights groups have also raised red flags about possible links to forced labor programs in Xinjiang, a region already notorious for coercive labor practices. If these allegations are true, they don't just violate labor law, they cross into serious human rights crimes. When influencers visited Shein's factories, they were shown a version of reality polished for the cameras: clean floors, bright lighting, smiling workers. But investigative reporters describe a far darker picture. Some watchdogs suspect the use of underage labor, though Shein denies it. Others uncovered punitive rules. For example, workers could be fined up to 2/3 of their daily wage for small mistakes, like a sewing error. Imagine working 16 hours only to lose most of your pay because of a single misstep. That's not just unethical, it's outright wage theft. The discrepancy between influencer tours and hidden investigations has fueled accusations that Shein deliberately engages in fraudulent misrepresentation, crafting staged good factories to hide the true extent of its violations. In criminal terms, that's a deliberate attempt to obstruct the truth and manipulate global perception. Shein is infamous for being a copycat machine. Independent designers around the world have seen their work stolen, replicated, and sold for a fraction of the price. Small business owners have documented how their handmade jewelry, custom clothing, or unique artwork mysteriously appeared on Shein's website days after they posted it online. With Shein's production speed, stolen designs can be mass-produced overnight, leaving original creators powerless. The lawsuits have been piling up. In the United States, several designers have accused Shein of operating a systematic enterprise of theft. One lawsuit even invoked the RICO Act, a law designed to prosecute organized crime syndicates, arguing that Shein's pattern of stealing intellectual property amounts to organized criminal behavior. To struggling creators, this isn't just plagiarism. It's the destruction of their livelihood. It is grand-scale larceny of ideas. Beyond labor and theft, Shein's business model has devastating environmental consequences. Independent studies have found Shein clothing containing hazardous levels of toxic chemicals like lead and phthalates. In some cases, the levels were reported to be hundreds of times above international safety standards. Wearing these clothes isn't just cheap. It could be dangerous to your health. But the crimes don't stop at clothing. Environmental groups have accused Shein suppliers of illegally dumping dye and chemical waste into rivers, contaminating drinking water and harming local ecosystems. These acts violate not just environmental ethics, but also international environmental protection laws. On top of this, Shein's ultra-fast production cycle floods the market with disposable clothing, items designed to be worn a few times and then thrown away. The result is mountains of waste piling into landfills worldwide. In criminal terms, this is environmental abuse on an industrial scale. Shein's low prices are not just the result of cheap labor and stolen designs. They also come from a clever, possibly illegal use of trade loopholes. In the U.S., there's a rule known as the de minimis exemption. It allows small shipments under $800 to bypass import duties. Shein has allegedly structured its logistics so that instead of sending bulk shipments, orders are split into countless tiny packages. This lets them evade millions in taxes and duties, essentially cheating governments while their competitors play fair. If proven deliberate, this practice isn't just bending the rules. It amounts to customs fraud and tax evasion on a global scale. White-collar crime hiding behind fast shipping. This is where influencers enter the picture. When Shein faced mounting accusations, they turned to social media stars to set the record straight. By inviting influencers like Zoolander on luxury trips to tour factories, Shein effectively used them as human shields against public criticism. On camera, these influencers declared that workers were happy and conditions were fine. But in reality, they were helping to whitewash crimes. Whether knowingly or naively, influencers became accomplices in a corporate misinformation campaign. And when the backlash hit, Zoolander doubled down, insisting that critics were brainwashed and that she had seen the truth. But to the public, her defense only made her look complicit, another piece in a corporate propaganda puzzle. The internet turned against her. TikTok creators mocked her, journalists exposed her, and news outlets branded her as a willing pawn. Under pressure, she finally terminated her Shein contract and issued a tearful apology. But the damage was permanent. Her brand was stained by her association with a corporation accused of global crimes. The Shein scandal isn't just about cheap clothing. It's about a company accused of labor exploitation, wage theft, environmental destruction, intellectual property crimes, and customs fraud. And it's about influencers who, knowingly or naively, became part of the cover-up. It's proof that in the age of social media, crime doesn't need to hide in the shadows. Sometimes it smiles through influencers, arrives in a cardboard package, and sells itself as a great deal.